Welcome to 7 Secrets to Better Live Video. First tip for better live video is I want to tell a story of one of the first webinars I ever did back when online video first became a thing. My first webinar, I wrote out a script. I went and got amazing photos for my slideshow. I practiced, I prepared, and the day of the webinar, I was nervous because I always am before I go live, but I was prepared. I was ready. The time came, I started the slideshow. It was one of those ones I had the slides and then my little picture on the side. I was presenting my heart out. I had great slides. I was talking with my hands because I always talk with my hands. I got really enthusiastic. I went through the 90-minute webinar, and at the end of the webinar, I realized I forgot to hit start broadcast. So that's my rule number 1 for great live videos is don't forget to start the live broadcast because you could be just talking to yourself in your office. Second thing is plan ahead what you're going to say. You don't necessarily have to write out a whole script, but do plan ahead. One of the things that I've discovered from both doing teleseminars and podcasts and video is when I don't have a clear idea of what I want to say, there's a lot of this verbal static that are placeholders for while our brain tries to catch up with our mouth. So if you plan out ahead of time, you're going to have less of that. Another part of planning is to try to think of stories that you can tell that illustrate the things that you're trying to convey. So even if you're trying to teach something, if you can tell a story, like the story of my forgetting to go live in my live broadcast, it will be much more entertaining and people are more likely to remember it than stats and figures and statistics. Now, the third key to a great live video is don't over prepare and over script. In the early days, I did write out my script word for word. I don't do that anymore, and there's 2 reasons for that. One, I'm not a professional broadcaster. So the people who broadcast, say, on television, on the nightly news, they're trained to read a script and sound like they're natural. It doesn't sound like they're reading. When I read a script, it sounds like I'm reading. The other thing with having a script is you tend not to look at the camera, you tend to look at the script. And whether it's, now I've got some notes here on paper just to remind me what to say. I know you can get teleprompters as well, but the teleprompters aren't in front of your camera, so you are looking away. That leads me to tip number 4, to actually look at the camera. As a person, I'm more comfortable with looking in somebody's eyes than looking in a camera. And when we're broadcasting, what do we see? It's our face on camera, and we have a tendency to look at our face rather than the camera. So right now, I'm looking at my webcam, but behind the webcam is the picture of me and my eyes. And now you can see I'm looking at me, and now I'm looking at the camera. Do you see the difference? If you're looking at the camera, your viewer feels like you're looking at them. There's a couple of tricks for that. So when I'm filming on my phone, so here's my phone. If I'm doing, say, an Instagram live, my face is here, the camera is here. I actually put a Post-it note on my face with an arrow pointing to the camera. The same with when I'm using the webcam for my desktop computer is I'll sometimes put a Post-it over my face just to remind me to look at the camera, or I'll put a Post-it just below the camera with an arrow. But if you make eye contact with the camera, it's just builds that connection with your audience. Next key to a great live broadcast is to have good audio. Lots of studies show that poor audio has a much greater negative impact on your viewers than poor video. So if the video is slightly out of focus or the light isn't great, people will forgive that more than bad audio. And the great way to do that is to just get a microphone. This when I'm filming with my cell phone, this is my favorite microphone. It's a little shotgun mic that I got that plugs in. It really improves the audio versus using just the microphone on my cell phone. The webcam that I have has a built-in microphone, but it's not great. I actually use here, see if we can pull it on. This is a little cheapo microphone that I got, and I thought I'll just make do until I can get a better one. Well, this has done really well for me. The other thing I love about this microphone is I don't have air conditioning in my house. So in the summer, I often have the window open, and this microphone cancels out extraneous noise. One time I was on a Zoom meeting and a really noisy truck went by, and I had to apologize to my co meeting people saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that truck. It was really loud." And they're like, "We didn't hear it." A great microphone can really make the difference with your live broadcast. My sixth tip is to smile more than you think is natural and smile so much that you think you're going to look like a maniac. Because when you're broadcasting, if you're focusing on what you're trying to say, you might forget to smile. And smiling on camera really does make you more inviting and makes you seem more friendly. Just remind yourself to smile. Sometimes in the early days, I would actually write into my notes, smile, smile, just to remind me because I forget. So smile more than you think you should because it won't look as insane as it feels. And the final tip that I have today for great live video is to watch your background. My sister has a friend who teaches yoga, and she's been over the last couple of years doing a lot of yoga training over video. And she was in her apartment and she had the background. It was kind of like this, a blank wall, except over behind her, there was a mirror. And what she didn't realize is while she was doing her yoga class, her boyfriend decided to go take a shower and didn't close the door all the way. And even though the camera wasn't facing the bathroom, the mirror was. And when he stepped out of the shower, everybody saw him in all his glory. Really be careful about what people can see when you're live. There's 7 tips for amazing live videos. If you don't have it already, get the Expert Entrepreneur's live video checklist to make sure you don't forget something basic like hitting the start broadcast. I'm Andrea Stenberg. Thanks again for joining me.